Good afternoon, family. How are you? This is King Simon. And as I was watching a few YouTube clips on the couple that committed suicide, you know, I personally have thought about that years ago because of the cruelty of other children, because of my complexion, because of pressures of life, especially as I got older and got married and all that. I admit to people that I almost took out my whole family, and I'm happy that certain disciplines that I were in at that time, especially in the Nation of Islam, and before that the Ansarullah community, and before that the 5% Nation, and I thought back when I thought about these things, and when I was younger I didn't have those type of disciplines per se, but what I did have was memories of my own family who I care about and whom love me and respect. And that's why I didn't do it when I was young, even though I was being teased and called all kinds of names. And sometimes children can be very cruel when we're in the PS schools, from when I was in PS 13, PS 316, PS 11, and those other schools, whether it was in 117 Academy, all that stuff, because of the lack of knowledge of who we are and what we are. And sometimes these things happen. And you have a lot of children that hold things in. And me as a numerologist, I always look at the numbers of the child, the amount of numbers in their name, the number that they're born under, the certain combinations of number that might create an energy. Or you look at what the parents have passed down from generation to generation. I remember contemplating it, and then telling my own father. I believe I told my father that I thought about doing it, and he said that my grandfather, my great grandfather, did it. One of my great grandfathers did it, and it was over a woman. And now I see where in the bloodline these things can travel, where you might contemplate those type of things, and it might come back up in your generations to come. When in actuality, suicide is never the answer. You know, I know in certain cultures, suicide is a certain answer, especially if there's a destruction, or you want to get away from a certain situation or whatever you or what have you. I remember watching the movie Wolverine, and the Japanese, when the bomb was dropped, the Japanese sat there and put the swords to their stomach and started cutting. But yet Wolverine saved one of the guys in the movie and covered him up. And he ended up being one of the richest and wealthiest men in Japan later on in life, with beautiful daughter and granddaughter, although he was kind of crazy anyway, as it comes to find out. But saying all this, that you never know what your life is going to turn out to be. That's why I've heard Les and Les Brown and other people say that suicide is a permanent thing to a very temporary situation. You know, things that we go through, it will pass. Believe me, I shouldn't be 50 at this age, because I would have taken myself out at probably 10, or I think it was 13, or in the clubs, the nightclubs. I almost took myself out in the nightclubs right there in Temptation. I planned to do it. But you know what happened? A lady came up out of nowhere, came upstairs. I didn't know who she was, but she came and said she just heard my voice, heard my name on the radio station, and how they say I was a nice person and you should go and talk to them if you want to rent out Temptations nightclub right there on Church Avenue. It's now called Brooklyn Rocks. And I don't think the lady knew, or maybe she knew how much that changed my life, how it brought tears to my eyes to realize that people were still thinking about me on radio and shouting me out and saying I'm a good guy, and, go and talk to him. He's the manager of the club, or the assistant manager of the club at that time. and it felt good. So that really stopped me from hurting myself that day at Temptation. I would have went out with a bang. It would have been nightclub promoter, MC, Simon Templar hangs himself at Temptations nightclub. That's how the news would have went in Brooklyn, right there on Flatbush and Church. It would have went just like that. I already knew. I planned it just like that. I was going to do it just like that. And then when that lady came who said she wanted to rent the club out, and she never rented the club out. She never came back and rented it at all. I never seen it again. And it lets me know that the ancestors was working through, y'all might call it angels, you might call it the spirit, whatever it may be called, in whatever language or whatever doctrine you're under. That lady was supposed to come and stop me at that time because I had the rope and everything ready. When I said the rope, I had the wires from the club. I had the extension cord ready to make it happen right in front of the DJ booth. I was going to do it. Because there was a bar right there where I could have thrown a rope and do all kinds of things. So I already had planned it. But when I found out that, my father told me after that thought, my father told me that my great-grandfather did do it over a woman or over situations or problems dealing with women. I promised myself I would never do that. I assured myself and, I would never think about killing my own children again or killing myself again. Because pressures of this society can drive you crazy if you don't learn to stay motivated, stay focused. And that's what I try to do in my numerology readings, to try to help and guide people to stay focused, stay on top of your mindset, because according to MIT, they say it takes 16 positive to knock out one negative. So if it takes 16 positive to knock out one negative, people, that means this society is full of negative people, negative things happening. So I implore you to listen to your youth, pay attention to their youth, pay attention to what they're watching, pay attention to what's going on in their life, pay attention to who they're hanging out with. Are they smoking? Are they drinking? I used to do all that smoking and drinking and all that kind of stuff, but I decided that it wasn't conducive to my health anymore, and I stopped cold turkey. I stopped one time. I had a dream that that I was after I smoked. We tried to smoke like we was Cheech and Chong. But what's so funny, Cheech and Chong did that in a limo. We did it in a small Toyota. Try to smoke some weed like we were Cheech. And we had these big spliff. We had a big spliff. When I say I had a big spliff, each one of us had a spliff. And I never forget, a friend of ours had a car that could not drive, a Toyota that could not drive. And we stood there with the windows rolled closed, and smoked all the weed down to the roach. And we were high as the sky. But when I got up, so we breathed in all that air and all that kind of stuff was still congested in my lungs. That morning, approximately at 3:33, I'll never forget, that was the time. It was about 3:33. Wow, master numbers too, all the way across. 3:33. It said, I got up coughing and choking out smoke. Smoke coming out of my mouth. And that was when I realized I almost died from that experience. Back in the 80s, during my high school era, I stopped cold turkey at the age of 16 or 17. It was definitely around 16 I stopped smoking weed. I was smoking it since I was like 12 because my family used to import it through other means. We won't talk about that. But, the Jamaican Cuban family, you know how it is. We're a bunch of hustler back in them day. So those things, I'm saying that because I stopped, and I stopped thinking about it after a few accounts of not accomplishing it, and realizing that I had more to my life to do, and you out there have more to your life to accomplish. There's many people many children, many young people, there's many people that actually go through with it. But believe me, you are dead longer than you're alive. So it's best to live your life full and die empty. Live your life full and die empty. Live your life full of your dreams, full of your hopes, full of your goals, and die empty. Make sure all of it is all gone, all burnt out. You finished doing all you had to do. So that's what I'm still thriving to do at 50 years of age. I'm enjoying it. I would not be here before you, family. I would not be in what I've done. I thank all of the elders and all of the people that I've encountered over the years, the haters and the ones that show their blessings, for me to be alive, to be able to experience my 9 children, their mothers, and the women that I have dealt with, whether I hurt them or I didn't hurt them. I apologize to most of the women I believe that I've hurt. And sometimes you got to apologize to yourself for the thoughts that you had and what you wanted to do to yourself. So I say to this family that I love you and respect you. And remember, suicide is never an option. It's never an option. Suicide is not an option. It's best for you to live on and find out what your journey is and what you're supposed to do. And if you do need that form of guidance, you do need a consultation session with myself or Lloyd Strayhorn or various other modalities, or go to your pastor or go to your rabbi or go to your Hebrew minister or your Muslim imam, but talk it out. Talk it out. Talk it out. Before I end, I remember when I was in the FOI, and many FOI from back in the 90s would remember I stood up at FOI class and said, I thought about killing my family. And I believe Conrad Muhammad, now Conrad Tillard, was the actual Muslim minister at that time. And I think Minister Kevin is now known as Hafiz, was an assistant. And I said that, and, I don't think the brothers knew what to do. They just knew that was kind of crazy, it was kind of crazy. But to me at that time wasn't crazy, but what saved me from doing that or taking out my family at that time, and I do apologize over and over again if I have to my children, and even thinking that, my ex-wife at that time, for even thinking of that. But I thank the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because something permeated through my head when he used to say, think 5 or 7 times before you act, and that's what I did. And that's when I decided if I would even think about doing that, I'm not worthy to be in this marriage or be around my children in front of them at all as a man. And I left. I left the family. I didn't want to deal with it like that no more, because I know as a original man or a black man or whatever man, we can be pushed to the edge just because of no job or not doing or fulfilling your purpose that you felt you were supposed to fulfill. After being in a reggae business or musical business, charting the top, between 5 and 3 on the top charts in reggae, and I just wasn't fulfilled. And sometimes it happens like that. You're not fulfilled. You don't feel fulfilled, so you think about doing crazy stuff. But I thank the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad for whispering in my ear and saying, think 5 to 7 times before you do something. And pray that thought is the most positive and respectful thought to maintain your life, to maintain focus. And like I said, people, I love you, I respect you. And if you ever want a session with me, believe me, if you're going through certain things, I'll guide you certain places. I'll guide you to certain people that you may respect. If I can get in contact with them, no problem, especially in the conscious world. If I can get in contact with them, I'll definitely guide you if that's what you respect. And that's who you probably need to talk to. Believe me, none of us, male or female, in this quote-unquote conscious community should ever be that high up on our horse that we can't come down and talk to somebody that might be contemplating suicide, because what you say to that person might save their life for them to be the very best and greatest person they can be in life. I love you. I respect you. Remember, text me your full name, your date of birth if you want a numerology reading. It's a small rate. It's a small circular fee. But please, support, even if you have to pay for somebody else that I may have to talk to or help. To the best of my abilities, I will guide you to somebody else if you need even deeper help. Thank you. I respect you. I love you. My name is King Simon. Stay focused. Stay alert. Stay alive. because we got a lot of work to do. 347-496-1022 is my number. And you could also go hit me up on KingSimonProductions.wordpress.com. That's a temporary site. King Simon Productions at Instagram. King Simon Productions at